In one of the cases, they asked Giuliani, are you presenting evidence of fraud? Because we're not seeing any evidence that you submitted of fraud. And Giuliani said, no, this is not a fraud case. We have no fraud evidence. Okay, so did you read that one? And do you still think that Giuliani secretly has evidence of fraud? Do you think that Trump had evidence of fraud and didn't share it with the courts?
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in fractional voting, yes or no?
Where did we go?
Do you believe in fractional voting? Yes or no?
What do you mean? What are you driving?
In this video, Cenk Uygur completely destroys a right-wing lunatic's insane delusions. This debate is nearly 4 years old, but I think we can all learn a thing or two here. It just goes completely off the rails as Cenk takes on one of the most unhinged election denialists yet, Josh Bernstein, who, let's be real, barely anyone knows outside of far-right echo chambers. Spends nearly the whole debate spewing absolute nonsense about fractional voting, Hugo Chavez, and even calling Dr. Fauci a satanic garden gnome. Like, yeah, it's that level of crazy. And Cenk doesn't even just push back, he completely obliterates Josh's whole narrative. Whether it's calling out the nonsense affidavits or exposing how no court ever validated these fraud claims, Cenk just keeps the heat on the entire time. So make sure to watch to the end to see how Cenk Uygur completely destroys this right-wing lunatic's insane delusions.
I'm asking you a question. Do you believe in fractional voting? Because it is absolute 100% proof that there was fractions of votes in these machines, okay?
No.
Now, I'll tell you how they stole the election.
You have no evidence of that, Josh.
Two ways
guys
they stole
keep
the election.
saying that.
Number
and
one,
you presented
USB
zero
drives.
evidence in
Number
court.
two,
Josh, can
adjudication
I ask you
rates.
this? Hold on, before you spew more lies. Look, you guys keep making up new claims, new claims, new claims. And by the way,
It's
during
not a
the
new
hold
claim,
on, let me ask the question. And then during the court, when you had the 60 court cases, at that time there was all this talk of releasing the Kraken, and as Trump was saying, massive dumps of evidence, etc., and all these different conspiracy theories, and Hugo Chavez manipulated the evidence, so did Italy, etc. Now, but when you went to court, none of you had any evidence. Does that not give you pause?
Go through the evidence.
What's that?
They didn't allow us to present the evidence.
That's
because
just
if they
not
did,
true.
They would have to.
Did you read any of the court cases
of President Trump?
Did you read any of the decisions?
I have read quite a few of the decisions, especially the ones in Wisconsin, which is an absolute joke because there's no such thing as 200 indefinitely confined voters. It doesn't exist. There was pictures of DNC operators that were saying that they were indefinitely confirmed out there canvassing, walking around on their bicycles, jogging through the park. They were perfectly fine. An indefinitely confined voter, I'm sure you know what that is someone that is invalid, someone that perhaps may be terminally ill, someone that may be someone in a wheelchair, whatever. There are exceptions for those folks. There's not 200,000 of them when they average 25 to 50. So what did they do? They shopped it to a left-wing judge who said, well, because of quote unquote the coronavirus, everybody's an indefinitely confined voter. So yes, here you go. Here's your decision to go steal the election.
Wait,
not
Josh,
to mention Bookvar and the rest of these idiots that literally changed election laws that were unconstitutional, by the way, and didn't have the plenary power to do so in the Constitution, okay?
You guys, look,
you can say that it wasn't a stolen election all you want. There's tons of evidence to prove otherwise. And that's why the left is fighting so hard against the Maricopa County audit. But the good news is you can't stop these audits. You know why? Because you don't have the plenary power in the Constitution from the federal government. Who created the federal government? The state governments.
Okay.
And the states have the rights over the federal government.
You don't know a thing about the Constitution.
Clear as day.
Alright, so Josh is just shouting out fractional voting like he's cracked some secret math code. He said it's 100% proof of fraud, but offers literally zero evidence. And Cenk thankfully just calls it out right away. He's like, bro, you've been saying this garbage for weeks and still can't back it up. Then it escalates. Cenk lays it out. 60 court cases, all the Kraken nonsense, Hugo Chavez from beyond the grave, Italy, satellites, every cooked up fantasy got laughed out of the court. And when Cenk asks if that maybe gives Josh some pause, Josh just goes full denial mode. They didn't let us show evidence, like dude, that's not how courts work. And when Cenk pushes harder, asking if Josh even read the rulings, Josh tries pivoting to Wisconsin and this whole indefinitely confined voter rant. He tries making it sound like some big secret voter fraud loophole. But again, no evidence. Just vibes. And what does he blame next? A left-wing judge, because of course, it's always the judge's fault when you lose.
Are you one of the, okay, there's so many weird and wrong things you've said, it's hard to keep track. And you guys keep digging up this new horse crap invented stuff. When you had your chance in courts, you were humiliated because you're all lying, and every judge said you were lying. Every judge said there was no evidence at all.
Every judge didn't give us the opportunity to
you keep lying to your audience and riling them up as if the election was stolen. Okay, and so I'm tired of your lies, and I thought like maybe there was like some shred of like maybe if you think this or that. But no, you just deny reality.
Jail if they're lying. So you're going to tell me that they're lying on their affidavits, risking penalty of perjury to go to prison? Seriously?
Who?
You're going to sit here and tell me that?
Who? I didn't hear you. Who's lying?
Hundreds upon hundreds of signed affidavits in the swing states.
Yeah.
Under penalty of perjury. So you're saying that they're lying and willing to go to prison to lie?
Conservatives,
because
Republicans,
that they made it up and there's not really voter fraud, that they didn't see with their own 2 eyes.
So Josh, let me explain a couple of things. Republicans like you are now lying on a mass scale all the time, nonstop. I mean, a majority of Republicans think that Joe Biden was responsible for the Capitol riots. You guys have lost your minds. Do I think there was hundreds of Republicans who lied on their affidavits? Absolutely. And by the way, all those affidavits were looked at, and there was still no evidence of fraud. And so when you say, you make it sound like, oh, are you saying, and by the way, Josh, hundreds, even if it was, hold on, Josh, we gotta go one at a time. The reason people cut your mic is because you refuse to go one at a time. Okay, so hold on, we go one at a time. Otherwise we gotta cut your mic. There's no filibustering. We gotta go back and forth, okay?
Okay, I don't cut your mic, you don't cut mine.
Okay, so let us go back and forth one at a time. So Josh, even if there was true that you had hundreds of affidavits signed throughout all those different states, Biden won by tens of thousands of votes. You guys are hanging on to the thinnest of straws on total absurdity, and no one has ever validated those affidavits. And so you guys are making up new and new things. And then one of the things you said I want to go back to, because you said the judges were intimidated. I'm seeing that a lot from the right wing now. So what is this conspiracy theory about how the conservative Trump appointed judges were intimidated? Intimidated by who?
Intimidated by the radical extremist Antifa folks and BLM thugs that are out there burning down every single city and looting and stealing and murdering people on a daily basis. You don't think that some of that eventually is going to scare some people? That's exactly why they were doing it. They said, oh, if we, God forbid, take these cases, then all hell will break loose and the left will obviously enact all of the different people out there and kind of get them going in all the different cities. And even Judge, what's his name, Roberts, who I've called the deep state's grandfather, because that's who he is, because nothing goes past him, because he's the one that appoints every single judge to the FISA court, but that's a story for another day. Even he was afraid to take the cases because he was afraid of turmoil outside, in the big city streets. But you have to ask yourself this question, okay? How many counties did Trump win?
I don't remember. Not enough. That's the correct answer.
2020, isn't that interesting? Okay, those counties that he won.
wait, hold on, I want to get that right.
With huge margins.
Wait, hold on.
Biden didn't win pretty much any counties at all, except for the ones that are all being contested. Now, how is that? And how does a 79-year-old with stage 3 dementia, my father died of it, so I know the warning signs.
You mean Trump?
How does he beat the first black president in Clark County, Maricopa County, Milwaukee, Fulton County, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh? Answer that question.
Okay, easy.
This is where Josh just goes completely off the rails. Like Cenk calls out the avalanche of lies he says straight up. You had your shot in court, you got destroyed, and now you're just dragging your viewers deeper into delusions. And honestly, he's right. Every single judge, liberal, conservative, even Trump appointed ones, tossed out these fraud claims because they were total fiction. So what's Josh's comeback? He just clings to these hundreds of affidavits like they're sacred texts. But affidavits aren't magical evidence. They're just statements. And as Cenk points out, those were reviewed and courts still found no fraud. And that line, conservatives, Republicans, absolutely, when Jenks asked if they'd lie under oath, that just hits. Because at this point, we're talking about a conservative movement so far gone that blatantly false narratives are now just standard operating procedure. But then it gets even dumber. Josh says that judges were too scared to rule for Trump because of BLM or Antifa, like this is some kind of street gang intimidation movie. He literally calls Chief Justice Roberts the deep state grandfather. That's not a debate argument, that's an InfoWars fanfiction.
Because everybody in the country on the Democratic side and independents hates Donald Trump. They all showed up to vote because he's deeply racist and we despise that fool of a man. He's incompetent, he got a bunch of, hold on one at a time, you asked me a question, I'm answering. He got nearly 600,000 people killed in COVID due to his grotesque incompetence. He's deeply racist, he's a con man who tried to rob us blind. He loves corruption, we hate the guy. That's why we were all motivated to go and vote against him. You think people are excited about Joe Biden? Maybe some older Democrats. But progressives are not excited about Joe Biden at all. You gotta let me finish, brother. You were just, hold on.
And he's not a racist, and if we had more time, I'd be able to refute that.
Oh no, poor Trump, no, of course
I give you a lot of credit for stepping up to me and getting into the cage with me. Most people are too afraid to. That's a fact.
And Josh, you said that Biden didn't win as many counties.
Never will.
Oh,
you want me back?
Thank you.
Any topic, anytime. You got it.
Okay, so Josh, you said Biden didn't win as many counties. You know that the bigger cities have tons of people.
We didn't even talk about COVID.
Okay, all right, we're almost out of time. All right, Josh, I don't know.
You don't want to go another 5-10 minutes?
No, we got 3 minutes or low. So, okay, you want to jump into COVID? Let's go in the cage.
What are your thoughts on COVID?
Okay, I think it's a real disease. I believe doctors and scientists. Counterpoint. Do you not believe doctors and scientists? They're all making it up?
As of right now, today, there are 158,836,917 Americans who have been fully vaccinated. That is literally 48.4% of the population. Now, I want to ask you a question, okay? What if Dr. Falsey, the satanic garden gnome, as I like to call him on my show, is wrong? What if all of his models are wrong? What if the medical community and the doctors are all wrong, okay? But I am right, and many other Americans out there that refuse to take this, chemo shot for all intents and purposes, what if we're right and they're wrong? You know what that means? That means that we have now committed American genocide, and that is sick and that is sad. And if you look at the VAERS, which by the way is severely, and I mean severely, underreported because it is not a requirement by doctors and hospitals and clinicians and emergency rooms to go to VAERS and put up the information and update the information on whether or not someone has an adverse condition or a death. So they report, again, voluntary, 100% voluntary, 9,535 deaths, okay? There's over 417,000 adverse conditions. If 158 million people have taken the jab and 9,538 voluntarily have told that people they know have died, then it's probably 100 times higher than that because there was an investigation by the United States Department of Health and Human Services that discovered that VAERS and the reporting percentage is closer to 1%.
So wrapping this up, Josh is just ranting about Fauci being a satanic garden gnome, claiming vaccine genocide and tossing out numbers with zero credible sourcing. Meanwhile, Cenk is holding it down with actual court rulings, data, and plain logic. Stuff Josh clearly can't touch without spiraling into conspiracies. And honestly, this is the problem with these matchups. You've got one side grounded in reality, citing judges, including Trump-appointed ones, yet Josh thinks he's on equal footing with Cenk. This is what happens when a host lets unhinged conspiracy theories share the stage without any verified facts. That's baked-in bias. It gives delusion a platform it didn't earn and pretends it deserves the same respect as the truth somehow. And speaking of bias, are you getting tired of getting news from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite? How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, whether it's left, right, or center, are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get a 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights in media bias and political trends. So stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.